Hi, and welcome to episode 52 of CultureWatch Radio. I'm Andrew Smith, and with me, Mr. CultureWatch Bill Muhlenberg. Bill, a tennis player has been holding the line in refusing to reveal private medical information in order to play at the Australian Open tennis tournament. In the face of dire warnings, it looks like Tennis Australia is the one who blinked and gave an exemption. But he's still not feeling the love. Bill?
Yeah, well, Andrew, it's been quite a debacle the last day or two. We've really almost outdone ourselves now in Australia to make ourselves the laughing stock of the world. Novak, world number one, of course, tennis player, thought he had himself an exemption, which, made some people upset. In a sense, that's understandable. Plenty of Australians can't seem to get exemptions, so why him? So in that sense, money talks. We've known that all along. But on the other hand, I applaud him. I think he's absolutely right. He has no reason at all to divulge personal medical information to others. He's standing strong against health fascism. Well done, Novak. We've had some other star sports people doing the same around the globe, so we need more like them. But yeah, this whole issue of first being approved to come into the country, and then he lands, and then the government decides, we actually don't want him. We have to ban him from being here. His visa is no longer accepted. We'll put him in a little holding pen, a bit of a quarantine, I guess. And we'll send them home on the first flight. I mean, this whole thing has just been madness, and everybody's wondering what is wrong. Well, not just with Australia tennis, but what's wrong with Australia? Can't we ever get our act together?
Some commentators are feeling that it might have been all a set-up all along to get him to arrive here, only to be blocked at immigration. And as we've seen throughout the pandemic response, the governments play politics regardless and think of themselves first, and certainly not the individuals.
Well, that's certainly been the case all along for 2 years now. Federally, certainly some of the states, Victoria, Queensland, have become experts at, just driving people into the dirt under their jackboots, effectively coming up with idiotic, contradictory, draconian rules, whether lockdown madness, closing borders. Who cares how many families suffer, how many loved ones can't even see each other, how many people can't get to their own workplace, how many people miss out on funerals, the death of a loved one, weddings. Governments are doing a great job of proving to us they do not care about human beings. They are not compassionate. They're just power-hungry people who will do anything to consolidate that power and control, and to heck with anybody who suffers as a result. So poor Novak is simply one of them. At least he's wealthy enough and has enough clout to overcome this. They may, in fact, even offer a last-minute legal challenge to this backflip. So, the story may not be finished yet, but most of us ordinary peons, we don't have the luxury to do either court challenges or to get worldwide press coverage of our fate. So, hopefully there might still be some good end out of all this.
Interestingly, one of the social media commentators, Dale Holmes, has commented on his Telegram channel, Dr. Tenpenny and David Icke were banned for their stance on vaccines. They always cancel at the last minute. And of course, Bill, we've also seen this exact sort of thing with Troy Newman back in 2015.
Yeah, absolutely. I recall that case. In fact, I was going to go listen to him, as probably you and many others were. And yet at the last second, he's on the plane and he's about to land, and he gets word from the Australian government, by the way, we've changed our mind. We've canceled your visa. You will not be allowed to come into this country. We'll lock you up, send you home on the first flight. In this case, he was a pro-lifer, simply going to speak at a few pro-life conferences. The Fems, one of the politicians who was a radical pro-abortion feminist, didn't like this idea, so cancel culture was alive and well back then. And yeah, he went through exactly the same thing. They could have told him earlier, before he got on the plane, before he made this incredibly long flight from America to Australia. But nope, last minute notification, he makes the flight. Tired as all get out. As you know, when you make these international flights, he has to be locked up somewhere and then sent back home on another flight. So yeah, governments seem to have a bad habit of doing this kind of thing. And once again, proof that they really don't give a rip about how they treat people.
Well, I know from the research and writing for my coverage of this in Lifesite News at the time that he had his approval well and truly beforehand. That was cleared well in advance. And the actual cancellation on the internal databases for immigration, and they've got a number of databases that they work with, that was done literally whilst he was in transit on his way to Australia. So it's definitely a deliberate and inside job.
Yeah, and again, questions are the same here with Novak. Well, aren't the various government departments talking to each other? Aren't people sharing? Why does one guy say, yeah, this is fine, the other guy says this is not? One department grants a visa, another one seems to think it's terrible. Well, if anything, it shows bungling government, or, as you say, perhaps deliberate means to just treat people like contemptible slugs. I mean, that's probably, either one is acceptable. They're either fully incompetent or the habit of doing this deliberately to kind of push their power trips onto others. In either case, it doesn't look well. In either case, it's not good news. And as we said, it makes Australia yet again the laughing stock of the world. We've been doing this for 2 years now. Haven't we learned our lessons yet?
I got a feeling the people in government don't necessarily care.
Well, that's sadly what we've been learning over 2 years. They don't care. They care about one thing, as we said, and one thing only, their own longevity in politics and power. They want to hang on to this control. It goes to the head. They really start to love all the power and control they have over ordinary people. And whether it's a major tennis player or just ordinary Joe like you and I, they've been on a power trip for 2 years. They show no signs of letting go of it. And again, maybe something like this, which will get international coverage, the whole world already is talking about it. Maybe, just maybe, this might help to, shame a few government bureaucrats and bring a bit of common sense back to this world. But, again, it's unfolding as we speak. So I guess we'll have to see how it all plays out.
And meanwhile, the man on the street, especially in Victoria, after all of your lockdowns, they're seeing double standards and hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's been that way all along. Dan Andrews, just like your Palaszczuk up in Queensland, others, they've been letting in sporting stars, movie stars, big wigs, people got a lot of money. Money talks, as we've been saying all along. Follow the money. It's not follow the science, follow the money.
I'm a celebrity. Let me in here.
Well, that's it. And ordinary Australians are saying, I'm an Australian, let me out of here, let me out of this lockdown. So it's been double standards from day one, to be expected from governments, but we've seen just how ugly and horrific it can become. And if we haven't learned the lessons in the last 2 years of the power of tyranny and democracy being crushed underfoot, I'm not sure when we'll learn the lesson.
And also at the same time, Masonic justice, straight down the line, letter of the law, and zero compassion.
Yep, it's been that way, unless, of course, either a poll comes along or people pressure. In the case of Novak, a lot of people were angry that he got the exemption and was coming here. So it looks like it may in part have been this government backflip responding to a lot of people quite upset. But on the other hand, again, people like Dan Andrews, he'd get really bad polling for his policies. His approval ratings would drop by 10 points in a matter of a few weeks. And guess what? All of a sudden, he raises or eases a few of the restrictions. So again, responding to people pressure, responding to the mob, it cuts both ways, it seems. But, governments, politicians, they're supposed to lead, they're supposed to rule, they're supposed to do what is right. But often they're just following the mob and trying to please the masses wherever the masses happen to go. And other times they're trying to steer the masses by the nose. The whole thing has just been a bit of a shambles to behold. And sadly, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
So which way do we go on this, Bill?
Well, I've just written a piece to say, on the one hand, again, I applaud people like Novak for standing strong. He has stood against this discrimination, the two-tiered society, the health tyranny, which so many of these unelected health bureaucrats have been imposing upon us. So in that sense, I give him full credit. I think we should applaud him fully. His dad has already said he's going to take action if things don't change. There's talk of court cases. His home country has been fully behind him. But on the other hand, we see governments who just seem to have no clue at all. They just make things up as they go along. So as we say, something like this, as bad as it's been for Novak and others, well, it may lead finally to waking up a few of the people, few of the sheeple who've been so blinded by, adoration and obedience to the state, regardless. Maybe if they see enough of these inconsistencies, these stupid policies, these irrational and contradictory decisions, maybe they'll finally wake up and say, maybe the state is not the savior after all. Maybe science itself can be corrupted. Maybe scientists can be bought. Maybe I've been conned all along. So in that sense, there may be a bright light at the end of this very dark tunnel. We can only hope so.
Yes. Can you imagine he wins the High Court challenge, goes into the tournament, wins the tournament? I reckon there's got to be a movie in that. Always on the pulse. There's more at the Culture Watch website. And we'll see you again next week with another episode of CultureWatch Radio. Subscribe where you listen at SoundCloud, YouTube and Rumble so you don't miss a thing.